Hey everyone, it's Tom. It's FANzine Live. Today we are looking at our latest Phoenix Masters project, Noble Head Funnies by Edward Bolman. You may or may not know Edward Bolman. He has been very prolific back in the 80s and 90s, as I understand. A little less so these days because he's kind of gotten into some other work, and he's doing it with his son, JP Noel. And he and JP, back in the day, and we had a video about this that JP actually made a short movie based on it. He and JP back in the day brainstormed Noble Head Funnies together. It comes across to me as being a bit of I don't know, how would you say it? Like a bedtime story type thing, a dad and son just being crazy creative type thing. Absolutely perfect, because Bolman is one of the great surreal kind of out there cartoonists in the best possible way. And the reason I say that is he is a one of a kind, much like the other Phoenix Masters, much like Steve Willis is one of a kind, much like the Hutchinson brothers, each in their own way, are one of a kind. So is Edward Bolman. And I'm darn thrilled to have those four people, Willis, Hutchinson, and Bolman, up on my personal Mount Rushmore. And now they're all in the Phoenix Masters project world. We're all better for it. We'll start with the basics. This is the sampler comic. What I asked Edward to do was, after he gave me all of his Noble Head Stories funnies, and yes, this is the entire collection. After he gave me that, I said, I think that 325 pages probably is a lot for somebody who doesn't know anything about you. Would you be willing to put together a short mini comic sampler of your work? To which he did. So he put in some nice cartooning. I did a little introduction there. And then he introduces his characters, and you've got Kitty Fluff, which is kind of his main character. I equate Kitty Fluff to Bolman as I equate Morty the dog to Steve Willis. So you've got Kitty Fluff, the Black Rayed Sun, and the Spittoon of Hidden Delights. But look at this cartooning. It is just great. Just incredible. Always out there, always different, and you've never seen anything like this stuff before. Another character of his is Twist Tie Beard. He has a barbershop quartet that shows up a lot. We have the gentleman who pushes the tiniest wheelbarrow, the miniature wheelbarrow, excuse me. And then a little bit of some verse. I did put a link in to the bit about Noel's film because I really think you ought to see it. It's really well done. And then a little bit on Phoenix Productions and the United Fanzine organization. If you're interested in getting your own copy of the big book, BolmanComics.com. So we're going to put that now off to the side. This is available at the Ko-Fi store, but we also have something about this at the Ko-Fi store, which I'll talk about at the end. So this is the big book. Cover is colored and actually was set up digitally by Brad Foster. Chad Woody helps with the story in the back. Steve Willis wrote the foreword. Brick Squicks he's got a quote on the back, but also a story in the back that I'll tell you about. We got to take a look at the back because I found a really nice endorsement of Bolman's work from Tim Corrigan, the publisher of Small Press Comics Explosion. It says, Edward Bolman is one of the most unique, prolific, and talented artists in small press. No small praise. And then Squicks, Brick Squicks, who's out of Brazil, said, Edward Bolman's comics are a magic experience. The overall feeling of love emanating from them made every panel a true enlightenment moment, much as George Harriman's Crazy Cat. Pretty neat. There's a little bit of Bolman artwork. He gave me some spot illustrations as well that I was able to squeeze in here and there. So we've got Steve Willis's foreword. Then we have the 7 issues of Noble Head Funnies, the entire series. Then we threw in The Monkey and the Ghost Ship, the Sunday Moonday Alphabet, Pussycat Wallow, and then Brick's piece, Noble Head Funnies in Portuguese. Forward by Steve Willis is actually handwritten. He sent it to me in this format. I was able to find a piece of a jam that he and Edward did together, and so I threw that in. But then we get into the book itself. The book is slightly larger than a mini comic. It's 4.5 by 6, which is the smallest that Amazon will do. It's darn close to mini comic size, but it is just a touch larger. Luckily, the scans turned out great, and the reproduction actually is pretty good on this. But yeah, you've got just fantastic stuff, and this is the beginning of Mr. Kitty Fluff, the world's most noble cat. And he goes on all sorts of adventures and gets put in all sorts of odd situations. Look at some of this cartooning, though. Oh my gosh. I was not in small press comics when Noble Head Funnies came out. My stuff with Bolman came before that, and I know him from back in my time in Massachusetts. He lived in the Boston area. I lived outside of Boston. And so we knew each other from that. Had done actually at least one little comic show, if not two, together. This is all new to me. It's just delicious. It's wonderful stuff. A lot of shorts, silliness. I strongly suggest that you take a look at this. If not just the sampler, grab the big book. And the big book is printed, it's ready to go, and it will be at the Space 2026 show. But he is able to jump back and forth between kind of a more realistic style there to the more fantastical. He does like to play with nature a little bit. He put in the zip code man from the Postal Service. He's got a character here mentioned in the JP Noel video I talked about called Longreach, the exciting new action hero. He's got a really long arm. He's got a thing for verse. Stories like this with Lars Van Stook. He did a one-pager there, shows some of his verse. Another couple characters that he brings in from the comic sensations of the 1939 World's Fair, the Trilon and the Perisphere. And he has all of these really kind of odd characters. He then throws Kitty Fluff into Leo Tolstoy's War and Fleas, part 1 of 250 parts. Wow, that face looks a lot like Steve Willis's Morty Comics characters. But yeah, he brings Kitty Fluff in and does a twist on War and Peace. When I had an odd number of pages and needed to fill something, I threw in the spot illustrations. And then we jumped to issue 3. Every now and then, his pages just cried out for getting the full page treatment, usually when it was borderless, as opposed to the stuff that had actual panels to them. He did a series back when I was reading mini comics called Naga Comics, and he did put a couple of those in, but this is even a 1996 copyright, so I had not seen this one before. But again, great looking stuff. Marat, A Tale of the French Revolution. Another character, Pinkerton Puss, the private op who's hip to the bop. But it's just cute, fun adventure. This stuff, as best I read, I cannot think of anything that is purely adult in either violence or adult material. If it's adult at all, it's simply because the references are stuff that might fly over kids' heads. This is stuff, again, remember, this is Edward Bolman telling stories and making stories up with his son, who was young at the time. So these are the types of things that kids will probably have fun reading. Pipes and Pole and Cracker Jerks, the two pirates. Look at that cartooning. Good golly. Paranormal Puss, the psychic investigator. The Black Raid Sons, trying on jeans. Why not? Alfred Hitchcock and the Three Perplexicators and the Mystery of the Musical Hole. And this is in issue 4. I was a little bit nervous about making a small size paperback book of this. The pages he sent me, he draws big. He draws more closer, I want to say to 8.5 by 11 size. He said that originally Noble Head Comics was a mini comic and he wanted to reprint it as a mini comic. So I was a little nervous about it. Fortunately, I've had some experience reading those issues of Koosh, the World Zine out of Latvia, and I've grown fond of that format. I just didn't know if it would fly with this, and I'm really happy to say it does. It looks really good. Kitty Fluff, Lord of the Battle Terrapins. He wanted this on the back cover. However, the back cover isn't formatted in such a way that I could put it in like this. So I looked at it and said, okay, you've got 2 panels and then 4 single panels. And he's doing a 2 across, 3 down type of style. I said, what if I flip it and go to 3 across, 2 down? And so that's what we did here on the back. The Land of the Black Squares. I mean, this is just crazy, wild stuff. Just incredible cartooning. The storytelling is so great. A Burma shave ad. Then the final issue, and he just has all of these wonderful characters. So this is the end of the series right here. And then we switch to the Monkey and the Ghost Ship, and this was something that Chad Woody wrote and that he drew. Pretty much sticks straight to the 4-panel per page mini comic look, and it works really well. Written in a narrative form. But Bolman's pirate cartooning there is just wonderful. Then he did this, and I believe he did this for Brad Foster, called the Sunday Munday Alphabet. Each page is a Bolman verse done with an alphabet themed, and then he does an illustration to follow through on it. So you've got your B's, your C's, your D's. Like here's F. F was a fiend who came out at night and pounced upon people to give them a fright. F. Frightful Fell Fiend. And he did this for each one. And I have to wonder, is this the type of stuff that he was helping J.P. Noel learn his alphabet with? Because this is some really crazy, wonderful cartooning and some really funny verse. Then we go to Pussy Wallow. This is more in the style of what I remember from Edward. His lettering is a little bit different than some of his more modern stuff. His characters, especially, I remember the eyes being a lot like that a lot of the time. This is very much classic Bolman, but of course you got to have a bunch of floating cats. And then if you remember, I told you about Brick Swix from Brazil. This is a page of Brix's Portuguese translated Noble Head Funnies. Was so entranced by Noble Head Funnies that he worked with Bolman to translate a couple of pages into Portuguese. Here's a reproduction of one of those pages. Then a nice page on Bolman himself, some stuff on Phoenix, and we're done. This is it. This is one of the legendary cartoonists of that post-underground SPCE era. And I am so thrilled to be able to put this back out into circulation. I really hope everybody takes a look at it. It's a great book. It's available at bolmancomics.com. If nothing else, get this at the Ko-Fi shop. And of course, both of these will be available at Space 2026. Let me know what you think. Are you intrigued by what you see from Edward Bolman? Are you going to be heading to space? Would you like to pick it up? Oh, I forgot. For those who pick up the big book on my Ko-Fi shop and at Space, I have an envelope here from Edward. Original art. Give these away with any book distributed. Free original panel with every book. Yay. And let me show you. He's given me so much original art. Much of which is from Noble Head Funnies. Not all of it, but beautiful original art done by Edward Bolman. Even got a little bit of stuff on the back on that one. Look at the cartooning. Just amazing. You want some kitty fluff? You can get that. You got some of the most detailed stuff around. And then you get some of just the straight cartooning. But yeah, all this is available. So this is going to be, if you order online, I'll just pick out a piece and send it. If you are at Space, you will be able to pick out a piece yourself. You want some dinosaurs? You can have that. And it's just lots of awesome stuff. Edward, you are a dude for sharing these. So yeah, there you go. Lots and lots of great stuff from Edward Bolman. So now make sure you leave a comment, make sure you like the video, make sure you subscribe to FANzine Live, and tell your friends. Get Noble Head Funnies, get the artwork, get the sampler. It's a great package. Remember, Noble Head Funnies on Ko-Fi, the big book on Ko-Fi, gets you a piece of artwork as long as it lasts. This is available only at Ko-Fi. And they both will be available at Space. That's it for now, everybody. I will look forward to seeing you at Space. Thank you for watching FANzine Live. I'm Tom, and I will catch you next time.